Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome. This is the Beat Jason Anthony NFBC live stream event here at FTN Network. We are going to bring you as much draft of this as we can, draft coverage. It's a $350 online championship. It's a 12-team league, 30 rounds. Jason is my co-host on the pod, but today he's going to be drafting against 11 others. Joining me is one of the best OC players, one of the best fantasy players I know, Brandon Corked Wood. What's up, bud? How are you?
Hey, Vlad. Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure to be joining you boys for a live stream. Always a lot easier to be on this side where I'm just getting to watch and commentate on some of the picks, maybe do some friendly ribbing for some guys that I think are being taken a little higher than I think they should, but it's always tough to commentate and draft. I don't know how you boys do it, but it's fun to be on this side. I just kick back, relax, and enjoy the show. It's going to be a good time.
Jason, welcome. How are you feeling on game day here with this draft?
Like I told you when we jumped on, Vlad, any better? I'd be twins. Life is good. Getting ready to draft. Hopefully, Mr. Waddell doesn't laugh at me too much or make fun of me too much. He might make me cry on live air. But I'm a big boy. I think I can handle it. But yeah, excited for this. I'm excited for the live stream. Thanks for everybody to jump on and watch. Hope people can learn some stuff from the drafting, from the commentary. This is why we do this, right, Vlad? The draft. This is fun.
Yeah, and this is the first of 5 live streams that we're going to do over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to have my be Vlad League. That's going to be 6 p.m. Eastern this Sunday. I think there are about 7 slots left for that. Then we'll do a Beat Dan Thompson League, a Beat Joe Orico League, and also Beat Lucas Beery. And by the way, Dan Thompson, who's going to be very busy working the next few weeks, is had to get in a draft, and he just happens to get into the Beat Jason League. So our very own closer man, Dan Thompson, is going to be. He said it's okay to say where he's drafting from. It's from the 5 spot today.
That's FTN on FTN crime, Vlad. I don't know about this, Dan. Take it easy on me.
No closers for you, sir.
There goes all my closer specs.
All right, we're gonna load up the board here. I think this will probably be the best setup. Go ahead and throw comments in the chat. I'll pull them up on stage here and there, and just let me know. Let's see, know what you think. Don't need to see us as much as you need to see the draft board, but we can make that bigger if you want. And yeah, all right, we're about 10 seconds here. Jason, you are from the 10 pick. Expecting any surprises, any overall strategies before we get started here, just OC perspective?
Well, I'm on the 2 pick actually, Vlad.
Yeah.
And it's pretty easy to click on Aaron Judge here, as much as I like to have fun and do something else. But yes, I'll take the consolation prize in Aaron Judge. And now, starting off with power, obviously, we all know how much speed we need in an OC, as well as how much power. Got to build it. Last OC I did, I actually started off pitcher, crochet and skiing. So this is going to be a little more well-rounded, I believe. So we'll see you moving forward.
For those new to the format, these are 12-team leagues with a national overall prize component. So usually anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 people enter this league or enter this overall competition. The grand prize is $150,000. There are a few dozen overall prizes in addition to the league prize. It's a $350 entry. It pays $1,400 for first place, $700 for second, and nothing for third on down. So first and second, it's where you want to be. Obviously first, and a lot of people really like to. Yeah, I mean, obviously $1,400 is nice. You want to win your league, but the big prize, obviously $150 on the top. Jason, when you're drafting, you're drafting. Let me ask you, Brandon. You enter several of these. You have a really high win rate. How are you kind of changing your approach with these leagues, with the overall component, and when you are essentially firing several bullets into it?
I personally don't change it that much. I know some guys like really, really go after the overall and don't care about, if they take third or they take 12th. They really don't care. I try to be super competitive in every league I'm in, and I just kind of figured over the years, if my teams are good enough, they're going to rise in the overall. And then when I get something that creeps into the top 100, top 50, then I really start focusing on categorical deficiencies where I can make up points in the overall, make sure I'm not losing points in my league, because it's kind of crazy to just shoot for the moon, go for the upside for the overall, then you end up losing your league because of it. It's not the end of the world, but you're still like, pissing away a couple entry fees worth of money, and that's a couple more bullets for the following year that you can take the same approach and take the same shots. So I don't know. I feel like it's a fine line. I mean, right now I have 9 OCs. There's other guys that have 20 plus, and I just think those guys are just going straight for the overall. Like, I don't even think they care about their league. They're just, a sunk cost, and if they don't win the overall, then they just lose money on the year. I don't know. It's kind of a wild approach, but there's different ways to approach it. And I'm a little more of a conservative drafter. I don't go for the upside on every pick like some other guys do. But, that's the beauty of 12s is there's so many different ways to approach it. You can go hitter heavy. You can go pitching heavy. You can just get your guys every round and push them up above ADP. And no one's going to tell you you're doing it wrong because everyone's got their own approach.
Vlad, what do you do? Do you kind of look at the overall early, like in the draft, or are you just trying to take best player, kind of maybe a little boring or a little more upside? Where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a little different approach with the 12 teamers with the larger number of overall entries. And it's a little bit more like akin to DFS, where these are more of your tournaments, your GPPs, the guaranteed prize pools. And then the main events, I don't want to quite call it like, the cash games or the 50-50s, but I think in a main event in the deeper rosters, you got a 450 player pool versus 360 in these 12 team OCs. And there's just going to be, by nature, a lot of players available and better quality players available in the 12 team pool. And, I want to shoot for a little bit more upside. I feel like somebody like a Byron Buxton is possibly like a good example where you may want to take a shot in a 12, or, Connor Griffin, like those type of upside guys. I feel like a lot of times are more in play in the 12 format.
I guess that's a good segue, is like the Connor Griffin and these upside young guys. Are you more apt to take the risk in this than a 15 team, we'll say main event, just because of replacement costs, or the fact you have to beat so many other teams? What's the thought behind that?
Oh, listen, it's going to depend where the price goes, right? Because main event's a different time period of the year. And by that point, we'll have a really good idea if we know Griffin's going to make the team out of on opening day, that price is going to shoot up into the top 60 overall. I mean, it's a little bit different here, but remember Bobby Witt, the year that first year, I mean, he had an ADP around 80, 90 during January, February drafts. All of a sudden, somebody took him at 45 in the main, and people were taking him higher than that, so on and so forth. So it really depends. And then you also have to think about not just chase the helium, but like what are you going to get out of it? Like what is the what is the potential? What's the comp? Am I better off just going for like a Bichette or a Seager or somebody like that who I know what I'm going to get from? Unfortunately, with Seager, a lot of times that's time on the IL, but that's a whole different story.
Well, we had our first shocking pick at pick 13. Yamamoto went double tap pitcher, was with Team 12 went Garrett Crochet and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So very unique build there. Probably I haven't seen that combo yet. So let's see how that works out.
Yeah, that was real surprising for sure, because you just, man, you need those 5 category offensive guys in the first couple of rounds, and he totally decided to pass on both. I don't mind Crochet at 12, but you got to go Tatis or Carroll or Tucker or just something that gets you production across the board, in my opinion, on offense, because, man, you can fall behind an offense quickly.
Vlad, as a Dodger fan, do you have any concerns on Yamamoto this year? With the innings from last year, the playoffs, the WBC, obviously every 6-day starting rather than every 5th day. Where are you at on him?
I mean, I don't think I'm drafting him at the price, and I think the innings are of a little bit of concern, but it's not one of those things. Like I understand there's like the mileage thing, but also if a guy is healthy and he's throwing, like, right now I'm putting together an article about, later round pitchers. I'm looking at Aaron Nola, and he's just been a horse every year with no arm troubles. And sometimes you just, you kind of get those guys and you ride them. So I think the innings you get from Yamamoto will be elite, and just like they were last year. I think it's probably a little bit of, I don't know, just like extra overthinking or just some bias where I don't know if he's going to end up as a top 5 guy.
Yeah, I agree. Skills wise, he's probably number 4. I do have some concerns though, and I think I only have him projected for about 26 starts this year, so which would knock him down a little bit in my rankings. But you're not going to have any issue with the whip or the ratios.
No, when the guy's pitching, he's amazing. No one's ever complaining about what he gets when he's throwing. It's just like you said, Jay, how many is he going to get? If he gets 30, 32, then, it's a screaming value going, pick 25, 26 on average. Pick 13, little rich for my blood, but, hey, it's get your guys. He's not coming back to you in round 3. So if you like him, you take him. How
about Team 5, Dan, with back-to-back Acuna Corbin Carroll combo? That's pretty juicy.
Yeah, that's super, super sexy. I mean, I was taking Corbin Carroll at 5 before he broke his hand. So to be able to get him in round 2 with Acuna, I mean, that's just that could be juicy upside right there. Like it a lot.
Andrew, our marketing director at FTN, says we've got a little something going with Trophy Smack. So whoever wins this league is going to get that ring. And I think that should be valid for you, right? Like if that's right, Jason, if you win, should you get it or should you give it to the next guy?
You see that trophy case behind me? That ring belongs in there.
Almost as prestigious as all those golf awards that you've won over the years.
I'm transitioning in life.
There you go.
Cool. Good question. You guys ever see a draft unfold and you just see some of the values that like a certain person gets at a certain pick at a specific time of the year, and you're like, why am I even doing this? Why am I even entering this? Because I'm in all these tough leagues and this person keeps getting the gifts. Do you ever get that feeling?
Yeah,
I do. But I draft from, January 1st through almost the start of the season. And, I usually think the value is early. I look at draft boards that the NFBC posts on Twitter. I saw somebody get PCA at the end of round 4. And I was just blown away that value is still out there. And I know there's, a big discrepancy about whether people think he's going to be good or bad this year. But man, him at pick 48, I don't care what your opinion is of him. Based on his ADP, that's like an insane value. I was shocked.
Early closer.
Yeah. But it's really draft dependent, Vlad. You've done enough of these things and you see it. You just see some crazy wild stuff. Guys will go 50 picks above or below ADP at any time of year. And it really is room dependent. And that's why I do a lot of them. And that's why I space them out. Sometimes you get lucky, you get in a good room where you are getting that value and you can put together a really good team. And that's how you compete for the overall. That's a special sauce right there.
Yeah. If you're drafting several of these, then you definitely, I think spacing them out is a really good idea. That's something I remember doing when the OCs first come out. This is before the slow drafts started. And the first ones usually would be somewhere time around mid-January. If this is a few years ago, I'd always make sure to get one in early. A lot of times those are some of the best deals. I don't know if you remember that, Brandon or Jason, the one team I had it was like the greatest start of all time. It was like Ohtani with Acuna and Crochet and someone else was like just the smack best 4 you could get. And it didn't even win the league. I think it came in like 3rd place or something. So, but yeah, spreading these out towards the end of the year or the end of draft season, I think there'll be some really good leagues. A lot of the, excellent high stakes players are going to be out in Vegas. They're going to be doing bigger drafts. You might have some newer folks that are in this, not to discourage anybody, obviously, from playing and entering. That's the other element of this. This is like you can get into leagues. Like it's tough competition, but I guess not always, if you could say that, right? Like you're going to, if you just know fantasy and you kind of figure out the specifics of NFBC and the formatting and follow, keep an eye on ADP and things like that, I feel like you can really succeed.
Yeah, each draft's so unique to itself. You can have a lot of good players and still have gifts fall in your lap. There's 12 teams in this league. There's 15 teams in the main event. And it's interesting, sometimes you get a league of people that haven't done it, and it's more ADP driven than a league with good players that you think this guy's going to be here in the 5th round, and there's no chance of him being there in the 5th round. So you really got to kind of tailor your picks and get your guys. I mean, ultimately, we do all this research. Get your guys when it's your turn to pick, and kind of throw ADP out the window. But I mean, to your point about the players, Vlad, I mean, when you're drafting a team like Brandon said, you have a PCA in round 4 and you draft him in round 3, you're playing against a team with, basically an extra 3rd round pick against you with the same players. Now, it's much different than football when there's 23 starting players, so you can overcome that. It just is much more challenging. So I do like to draft more in the OCs early like Brandon does. I think you get the values. You obviously have the risk with the injuries, but the values that you get early far outweigh the risk and the injuries, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. But Jay, you got a great start. I mean, Judge, Lindor, Schwarber, Schwarber in the 3rd is super juicy paired up with Judge. I have a couple of those combos, and you're just looking at 100 home runs. Plus you get the, depending on how much time Lindor misses, 25, 30 steals plus another 10 chippies from Judge and Schwarber. Like, that's just a super good start. Power, you can never have enough of it in 12. So I love it.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think that these guys match what they hit last year, but I'm counting somewhere closer to like 140 home runs combined last year from these 3. Pretty insane.
Let's see, my projections from the roster grid have 117 on the aggregate projections for 3 players. That's a nice start.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you're way ahead. And team 3 is our buddy, and Jazz. Jason knows I have a man crush on Jazz. So he starts interesting with Bobby Witt, Jazz, Trey Turner, gets a little bit of 5 category production out of all 3 guys, but fills up the early MI. We'll see if that ends up hurting him farther down the line. Maybe he should have gone with a Pete Alonso, just get a power bat, get a 40 homer bat in there. But, I don't think you're doing anything wrong when you're going Trey Turner, 30 steals, 15 homers, 285 average. It's a real good partner with Witt if you can find, pair him up with a couple guys like a Torkelson, a couple of those players later down the line. You get your power and you can absorb the bad average. So it's a good strategy.
And just, a little insider trading. Brandon and I were talking about being close to the wrap with a Schwarber pick. If you are at 2 and team 1 does have Ohtani, guess what? They're not taking Schwarber at the wrap. So you don't need to push him up if you want him. So, pay attention to what the team behind you or in front of you has if you're close to a wrap, and kind of tailor your picks that way, because I would definitely be taking Schwarber ahead of Lindor there, but I knew he was going to be able to get back, so I was able to get the best player in Lindor that was left on top of that.
Yeah, it's a key strategy. If you are there on the turns, you're at a 2 or you're at 11, or you can even extend that one more over 3 and 10, makes it a little harder. But essentially, it's like the game of draft chicken. Like, you almost can project what the person at the turn is looking for, what they're going to take, and who you can get first. And that's a great example. You're right. Like, hey, I just know unless this guy's crazy, he's not going to go Ohtani Schwarber. It's ridiculous. So, definitely. I did once had a DC where I drafted Ohtani and then I just timed out and I got JD Martinez. This was a few years ago, and then JD's like last amazing season, and it was just tough. I could just never get those JD stats because I messed up. So,
well, you guys all know about the story of Jeff Zimmerman last year in the Super Auction, right?
Yeah, that's brutal.
First two nominations, Shohei Ohtani and Kyle Schwarber, and he gets them both.
That's right. I remember that.
And he was so excited about the deal, and I was watching him because I was sitting 2 seats over. And about 30 seconds in, I was just kind of watching and waiting for it to sink in, and he goes, "Oh." I was like, "You got a really good picture in Ohtani."
Oh, man. Steve is an FBC player. He's in the comments. He's asking, Vlad, are you in this league? No, I am not. I am hosting duties. I told our producer, hey, I can handle this. So if you see anything messed up with the boards, that's because of me. This is not my forte, but we're trying our best. So I'm not in this league. I'm drafting Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. That's the Beat Vlad League, the only one of the year. So make sure to get in on that. And probably a good time to tell you, everybody listening, if you aren't already, I'm sure a lot of people listening are or watching. FTNfantasy.com is the site Jason and I work for, and our stuff is really good. Rankings for NFBC, for your ESPN, CBS, Yahoo leagues, custom projections, cheat sheets. We've got Mike Mager, NFBC Hall of Famer, about to be inducted, dropping some really good content. So if you want in on that, MLB26 is the promo code for 10% off. We got a new thing this year where if you want just the draft stuff, just the preseason stuff, you can get that. It's a much more reasonable rate. But even our regular rates is reasonable. It's like $69 for the whole season. You get all the fab stuff, the drop columns, everything you need. So check it out, ftnfantasy.com. MLB26 is the code.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan. Obviously, I'm a subscriber, have been for a lot of years, and the money is just worth it for your fab column. But it's fantastic. It's my go-to fab Bible for 12s year in and year out. And it's won me a lot of money, and it continues to be amazing. And your guys' underdog content's great too. I've been hammering the underdog MLB draft streets for the last couple of years, and ended up getting 3 teams into the finals last year. So obviously, you guys were doing something right with your info, and I'm firing it in there again this year and hoping to squeak one in.
Are you going to max the dinger?
I'm probably not going to max it. I think I did 65 or 70 teams last year. I kind of get burned out doing the drafts because I'm just on the guys I'm on. I don't do, the flat percentages. Like I'm not at 16%, 8 to 16% everybody. Like I probably have close to 60% Chris Sale across all my drafts. I'm just essentially all in on him at pick 70. I feel like it's just the stupidest value on the board in that format right now. So yeah, I don't diversify. I either do really well or I do really bad. So
I like that. I like that.
I'm okay with that. At $15 a pop, I'm willing to just burn teams. At $350, price points are a little different. I take a little more of a conservative approach. But yeah, love your guys' site. Love your guys' content. It's great.
Thank you, brother. Randy, another FTN subscriber. Where are you guys at with Langford this season? It feels like Langford is kind of quiet, kind of maybe a quiet value. He's just in that like kind of quiet 2020 guy. I mean, for me, I think a lot hinges on Corey Seager's health, because having that monster bat in the lineup for protection there, I think is super valuable. I know Jason, you and I were talking in the pod about some not great vibes with the Rangers offense. It's not looking all that pretty. But let's do your picks first, and then we'll talk about Langford here.
Well, unfortunately, the last 8 picks were yellow, so my pitching queue got completely cleared out.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if I've seen a draft where teams 2 through 8 all took 3 hitters in the first 3 rounds. That's really rare. Usually, you get a couple closers or some SPs sprinkled in there, but that crunch ended with a big yellow brick road in round 4. So
more bombs.
Yeah. I don't mind the pivot right there, Jay. Just get your C1, obviously your number 2 rated guy behind Raleigh, and just keep hammering power. I love it.
It was either him or Hunter Green.
Yeah. that might've been true yesterday.
There he is, Red Fox with the Bengaliers call, my man.
That's our closer guy, our closer aficionado expert, Dan Thompson at Red Fox Roto. He's drafting from the 5 spot. He's the one with Acuna, Carroll, Alvarez, 6-6 start, and then Logan Gilbert, who was the number 3 pitcher or 4 or 5, I think, off the board last year, going in the second round, and obviously missed some time, was hurt, but career best strikeout rate. Still made I think low 20s or high teens starts. He was really good. You're gonna make this pick, but tell me real quick after you make this pick, or while he's going, Brandon, your thoughts on Langford. Why Langford?
Yeah, I think that was Jay's pick right there, and Freddie Peralta. I know he's got a big man crush on him. But yeah, Langford, I don't know. It's hard. He's really young. His actual counting stats haven't been all that great. And it's just because he keeps getting hurt, right? He battled that oblique thing 3 different times last year. just couldn't seem to stay on the field to get any momentum going. I don't mind him. Everybody's got a price at which I feel okay about it. Third, fourth round is probably not for me. So if he gets into the fifth round, I'm probably looking at it. But yeah, it's tough. The Rangers offense as a whole was really bad last year. They struggled. The park factor for their stadium is the worst in baseball by a large margin. And it's a multi-year sample. It wasn't just a complete one-off. So yeah, I think for those reasons, I'm out at current cost, but if he falls a little bit, the guy's young, tons of upside, has that 30-30 season in him for sure. Just needs a supporting cast and to stay healthy. And we know it's a skill in baseball. Like some guys can stay healthy, some guys can't. Right. So yeah, I'm out right now. I don't have any.
Covering the one pick. I don't know if you want to see more of the board or more. These are my only layout options. So we'll figure it out. Maybe scroll a little bit. We'll work with it.
I mean, I'm really liking what Dan's doing at 5. I mean, Acuna, Carroll, Jordan, Riley, and he gets Gilbert as SP10 off the board. Those are all just really good values. And he's just hammering power with speed upside, batting average upside. Yeah, he's putting together a really good first 5 rounds.
I just realized I got to turn the big sticker off. That's key. You don't need those big names kind of taking over the board. We know who's being picked there. So Max Fried.
Where are you guys on Bryce Terang this year? Because I looked at him with this build, and I haven't taken him at all. I don't know what to think. Is he going to run? Is he going to hit homers? I don't really understand what his profile is at this time. What are your guys' thoughts?
My dad joke is I'm coming back around on Bryce Terang. Pardon me.
Can we get a moment of silence real quick, Vlad? That was
like a boomerang. So here's the thing. He was the biggest bat speed gainer last season from the previous season, and it was a nice little uptick, and it was still like middling as far as the league is concerned, but he was lifting more. He's got 21 homers. It came at the expense of a little bit of average. He ran a little bit less, but guess what? He was the overall second baseman 1. And this is because Jazz Chisholm, of course, was not second eligible when the season started. So when draft season first started, I had him maybe a round and a half below ADP. That's where my ADP ranking had him. And now he's creeping up and closer. Like I'm becoming a little bit more confident with him. At the same time, I'm not like I rarely go with an early second baseman. For me, Brandon, I know you said you love Jazz, and there are enough guys late in second base where everyone we get comfortable with certain types of builds or certain ways that we're doing it. It's good to diversify. Sometimes it's not, right? If they're a second baseman that you like later in the draft that you think you can maximize profit out of, then perhaps it's not worth it. So I like Terang, but I don't love early second baseman.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't have any right now. It's hard to say. Like when you have a guy that kind of comes out of nowhere to do what he did last year, as far as completely changing his power profile, you don't know whether it was that career year blip or if it was the start of a significant and intentional swing change to hit for more power, to lift the ball more, pull it more, sacrifice a little bit of average, and kind of change his overall profile. So for that reason, I don't have him. I am on Jazz. I had a ton of him last year. Just love the guy. I love the swag, and he's got that potential to just really go for the moon with homers and steals. But beyond that, I'm not taking Marte. I'm not taking Terang. I do think second base is deep. It's just kind of flat as you get past round 13, 14. There's a bunch of guys between round 13 and 20 that you can take to fill team need, to fill MI, that are just consistent producers. They do it year in and year out. There's no question marks. So yeah, I'm usually not pushing up Terang.
So many ways to build. I mean, you just look across the board and looking at these teams and you think, okay, so this guy started with the pitcher at 12 and then he followed up with an early pick of Yamamoto. And then now the offense is, and Langford, maybe not your ideal first hitter in a 12, but it's sort of coming together. You got Langford, Machado, Roman Anthony, and Freddie Freeman. I mean, that looks pretty nice. But then you flip it to the other side. You look at some of the strong offensive builds. Jason, your team, Dan's team at number 5, and adding Riley to that mix. So there's a give and take. I feel like in OCs you can get away with a little bit more imbalance, whereas I feel like in the 15 teams and the main events and the DCs, the balance I think is a little bit more of a key.
Yeah, I would agree. As you get deeper, especially in the 15-team main events, you have to have balance. You can't punt pitching like you can in 12s. I'm a big proponent of punting pitching in 12-teamers, really loading up on power, right? You got to start 14 offensive guys, only 9 pitchers. So I'm a proponent of punting pitching, not completely, but you can just let it go, and you can start taking pitchers. I mean, you can take them in around 6, 7, 8 for your first, SP or RP and still end up fielding a really good team. I have no issues with guys waiting. So team 4, Vlad, I don't know if you noticed team 4, they have 3 first basemen. Not sure I've seen that build through 5 rounds. That's definitely a unique one.
My job to notice it, and I did not. Thank you for pointing that out.
I mean, I guess, CI and utility are locked up. I mean, 3 good players, but man, that's some roster restriction right there. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Well, now we monitor to see if they, I don't know, if they're listening and if they notice, and let's see if any more.
Yeah, Dan says 4's been on auto since the start. I have noticed their timer counting down almost every pick, so I wasn't sure if it was auto or if they were just taking the whole clock. So that makes a little bit of sense.
All right, there's I thought that was Hunter. There's Riley Green off the board. A little high for Riley, right? Where he usually goes. He did hit 30 plus homers, the first Tiger to do so since Torkelson in 2021. Detroit, obviously the ballpark, not the ideal spot for hitters. Any approach you have with Kansas City Royal hitters or pitchers with the fact that Kauffman Stadium now will have the walls move in 9 to 10 feet in the outfield and then lowered as well for good, a little better for the hitters, a little bit more for the pitchers. How much of a change in your analysis is there for you guys?
I'm not changing anything. I don't think you can. I mean, it's all speculation. You can look at what some of the projections put out there for, the expected home runs for the offensive players playing half of their games at home. But you can't just add, hey, let's add 10% or 20% to their home run expectation. You got to remember they play half their games on the road. So, you can maybe count a couple extra homers for the power hitters. Mm-hmm. For the pitching, it's such a crapshoot. I think you just get into some real dangerous waters if you start trying to manually adjust. Oh, there goes Hunter Green.
That helps the rest of the room.
There's the auto picker. Yeah, so that makes sense. That does help the rest of the room. Yeah, I just don't think you can make wild assumptions that they're going to go offensively crazy and that the pitchers' ERAs are going to go up half a run to a run. You just got to see what happens.
It's 12-teamers always look like super teams, almost feel like a completely different game from the 12s. It's from the 15s. It's a totally different game, huh?
Oh, yeah,
for sure.
And, to your point about Kansas City, Brandon, it's interesting because, like, you look at Baltimore last year, moved the fences and, tick up in offense. But the thing with power hitters, they're power hitters, right? They're not just barely scraping the fence. They're hitting home runs. And so I don't know how much it's going to affect. I'm really not changing much, if any. For me, kind of just status quo with the rankings. I was gonna double tap catcher there with Augustin Ramirez. Gets a little speed out of the position. Surprised he got pulled up. So now I got to pivot a little bit.
He went early, and Contreras went really late. That's the latest I've seen Contreras go in any draft I've been in. Mm-hmm. Him being the 5th catcher off the board is kind of wild.
I guess I'm gonna take the value on Logan Webb. I'm not on him at all, but the innings and the strikeouts and the wins, as my SP3, I'll take it.
That's good value. I like that quite a bit. You could be in a little bit of whip trouble with Luzardo Webb, but you got Kirby. If he goes back to vintage Kirby, you're looking at a sub 1-1 whip and maybe even a sub 1 if he goes full vintage.
And I know I did pull Kirby up a little bit, but that was kind of my thought behind it, was to get that whip kind of down.
Yep.
Because I knew there were some strikeout pitchers that I wanted in the later rounds, starting now actually. So it seemed to work out, but we'll see. Logan Webb, like I said in the pod last week, you're not getting below 1-2 whip, so I really haven't been on him, but I think the value there makes a lot of sense.
I would love to see that just big George Kirby season, because when he first came in the league, in the first year and a half, just taking the league by storm, he was just so consistent, like the walk rate lower than everybody's in the league by a wide margin, and he hasn't really produced that elite whip quite yet. And part of the reason is they were just last season a couple of was not healthy for a bit of the season, and also had a couple of really big disaster starts where it was like, you of all people, Kirby, I cannot believe what I just saw, right? And then and same thing happened to Luzardo. He had the most incredible stretch for like the first 6 weeks of the season, I believe it was, and then just bam, bam. It was something like, I forgot, like 16 earned runs.
No, it was 20. It was 12 earned and 8 earned, because I ate a lot of those innings. That hurt.
And he still ended up with a sub-4 ERA. He had so many games with like double-digit strikeouts, and he's such a beast. So you'll be in for a ride for sure.
Yeah. I told you, Dan, 20 earned and 2 starts, just what I remember. 12 and 8. I think he ended with like a 3.5. Like, he was amazing outside of those 2 blow-ups. He was really good.
Yeah, Jesus Luzardo was pretty good. FTN model, by the way, pretty big on him. Big fans. Maybe we see a little bit of an uptick with Kirby with the strikeouts. I think that's definitely something that's possible. I feel like there's some magic brewing there in Seattle. So we will see. I'll have to adjust this board a little bit. Apologies. Get your glasses. It's going to get a little smaller, but we want to be able to see and fit more picks. All right, so here we go.
That's an early Randy Arozarena pick going at 81. He usually gets somewhere into the 90s just because that batting average hurts you a little bit. But it makes sense for Team 9. They needed a little speed, so don't mind that.
I'm looking to see if anyone has 2 closers yet. I'm not seeing it. It looks like everyone's got at least one. So nobody went with the heavy closer start one that we've seen in the past.
I don't.
I have a feeling Team 12 might dip into that pool on the wrap, since they went 2 starters, 4 hitters. They might double tap RP here at the 7-8 turn. But
go with the hater beater combo.
Yeah. Might be a little early to beat her, but
maybe, a little Vodnik. Never hurt anybody.
I have a feeling Team 4 is going to end up with Hader. Just keep that auto draft hurt guy. Team going.
Well, we got the best news on Hader yet. He's going to throw off the mound later this week or this weekend.
Yeah, it's by the time we're in Vegas, we should have a really good picture, and it's going to move the needle on him huge. Either he's going past 200 and Abreu moves up into the top 80, or if that's like really bad news on him, or it's like, oh, Hader's fine, he's plugging along, everything's okay, and he probably starts the season off on an IL stint, and I think you probably would see him kind of stick around maybe the 80 to 110 range. Maybe I'm not quite sure. With Abreu kind of there, like those middling guys are tough, right? Like those are tough situations. Like Trevor McGill and Abner Uribe, right? I know we're talking about guys that haven't been drafted yet, but also it's a live stream here. But I don't know. Maybe that conversation we'll save for in a little bit.
What's your guys' take on it? Let's say Hader gets that exact scenario that Vlad just played out, and he's going around pick 80 to 110 come main event time. Are you touching it? Are you staying away from it? Is it, kind of wait and see what the news is? Because I'm just out. Like, I'm just out completely. I don't care where his ADP goes. I'm just kind of based on what last year was and the injury, and this year, I'm staying away personally. So just seeing what you guys think in 15s, where every pick is so valuable.
For me, the 15s, I won't take that risk unless he fell much, much further, but then the news would be much, much worse. There's no reason for me to take that risk on with bicep, which is, one of the leading indicators for, TJ from my understanding. So he might come back, might be good. Someone's going to profit from it. If he does, it will not be me in a main event. But like Vlad said, we'll have a lot more information. So it will either be a lot of good news or a lot of bad news in, a week or two. But, there's a main event getting drafted Saturday, right, Vlad? That's the first one?
I think so. I'm not sure when the main start. I'm not doing an early one this year.
ADP setters. So it'll be interesting to see, that like we were talking about, somebody's going to get a hater in round, 14 in the main event now. Come we get to Vegas, he might be going round 5.
Yeah, I don't make any draft decisions on injured guys without an official diagnosis from Dr. Dave anyways. So
yeah, you got to consult a professional. Yeah, you got to
Do you
wait for him to
subscribe
weigh in for sure.
Do you subscribe to that? You give him the monthly for his analysis?
Concierge, baby. Guys, Nolan McLean, is he somebody that you foresee be having massive helium come main event season, especially that he'll be in the WBC spotlight, and if things go well for him, can you see him like creeping up considerably? And do you have any concerns about, I don't know, just sharp people talking about maybe more whip damage than we might expect, or just being wary of the helium? Where do you stand on Nolan McLean?
I think we call pick 90 pretty big helium. I don't know how much higher he can go with that profile, but you could probably see him top 75 at some point. I think
he'll go 50s.
I think he goes first 4 rounds come main event time. If he shows anything in the WBC, I think he went in like pick 75 in one of my last 2 OCs, and there we go, team 4 with Josh Hader. Who saw that coming? I just think he was really good last year, has a ground ball profile with high K upside. I mean, talk about all the buzz, he's getting all the buzz. Good team. Mets should win a bunch of games. Atlanta's team is getting weaker by the day with injuries and suspension. So you should just pencil in more wins for the Mets, and that's good for your starting pitcher.
I just have taken my first closer here in Daniel Palencia. They joined the closer party, so that's 4 straight pitchers, which I don't know if I've ever done in an OC.
Yeah, no, I like it. A lot of people are high on Palencia. Yeah, the Jeremy Pena pick is interesting with the fractured finger news today.
It doesn't seem that bad from what I'm reading.
I have a decent amount of Pena, so I'm hoping it's just one of those couple week things. But reevaluated in 2 weeks is not good news. So
no. Well, man, guys, I have a disease, and only cure is more power. So I'm just going to keep going.
Oh boy. Oh wow. There we go. You might have some batting average issues. Just throwing that out there.
Oh, I'm paying attention. I'm at 254 on my sheet right now.
I mean, Schwarber could hit 250. Langoliers, I don't think is going to hit anything above 250. And Eugenio,
I don't know. His strikeout rate continues to drop. Z contact's been good. I think his batting average is not going to continue to go up, but I don't think he's a 230 hitter. That's one of the reasons I'm so high on him.
There's also a bit of positive BABIP luck with guys hitting there in that at Center
For
Park.
sure. Yeah, it's a bandbox. I mean,
it's
without
fast.
a doubt.
Man, that field's fast.
It's fast, and fly balls fly out. So,
I like your strategy, Jason, of when you did hit the 4 hitters hard, that you basically went right to some pitching and go, boom, boom, boom. You grab a closer and you've kind of like recentered now, right? And you're like, at this point, I can go in any direction I want. Could have gone with another pitcher. I'm sure that would have been fine. Lots of different directions to go, but it is kind of nice how you recenter there with that.
Yeah, now I'm back to taking best player rather than needing to catch up in somewhere. Like Brandon said, I have a little batting average issue, little speed, but there's a lot of players I like coming up. So, I might just keep drafting homers and go for 500 homers. Anybody hit that in the OC?
I don't think
can't
so.
be the worst idea.
Can you see if I get a ring for that?
There it is.
New nickname.
Yeah.
Jason,
Just add 2 more booms.
boom. The more booms, the merrier.
Funny story. My nickname's Booms from golf, but it came about from when I started playing golf. It was boom, boom. Once for when I hit the ball, once for when I hit the tree. So it got shortened when I started hitting it straighter. So
That's funny. That's good.
So I'm curious to see what Team 8 does with pitching, because right now they have Joe Ryan as their SP1, and he's kind of a question mark. And then Team 3 has no outfielders. So curious to see kind of where both of those builds go in the next 5 rounds or so.
Spencer Strider too. Velocity back 2 miles an hour today, back to where he was last year. Where are we at on him? Are we interested? Are we monitoring? He was actually decent the first half, and then seemed to really run out of gas. Was not vintage Spencer Strider throwing 95. He's got to get back up to 97, 98 to be the old guy. But I don't know what to think of him.
What do you think, Brandon?
I'm still scarred from taking him last year on one of my 750 OCs that failed miserably, and he was a big contributor to that. I don't know. I'm probably out. He just looked so bad. He looked so lost. He, didn't really know where it was going. The velocity was so down. He's a 2-pitch guy, right? And it's all power. 98, 99 mile an hour fastball. Power slider, and if he doesn't have that power, he's not going to magically develop a 3rd and 4th pitch that guys have to worry about. So I'm sitting on the sidelines. Haven't taken any of them. Haven't taken any of them on underdog. Maybe 1 or 2 shares. I've done probably 50 drafts, and I have none of them so far in any of my teams. And I've done 8 drafts on the NFBC platform.
Now that our friend Matty Wood had a mustache the last few years, I just can't get over every time I see Strider, I see Matty Wood. And by the way, his account got hacked on X, so if you lost him, refollow him. It's _ Matty Wood _. So the underscores are back.
They have the same size quads too.
Yeah, the quad. What do they call them? The
Quadzilla.
Quadzilla, yeah. And then the figure skater Ilya
Quad God.
Quad God. That's right.
Well, that was not on my bingo card talking about figure skating at pick 109.
Didn't expect it, but USA hockey, USA winners.
Yeah, a couple interesting spec picks at Trevor Story and O'Neill Cruz. Two guys I haven't been clicking the button on unless they're falling, a good 15 or 20 picks past ADP. Could be big upside with Story like he was last year, but we all know the injury history and track record. And then O'Neill Cruz, contract year. He's got Marcelo Ozuna mentoring him in the clubhouse. Does he go 30, 50 this year and somehow hit over 225? I don't know. It's in his wheelhouse. It's just not something I'm banking on, but he's an interesting player for this format specifically because the upside is just massive.
And at pick 10, what do you have? 108, Brandon? I mean, there's a lot of validity to take in there.
I mean, he could be a top 25 overall player that you're getting at pick 108, and it's definitely in the range of outcomes. But he just needs to get his head on straight, and, figuring out how to hit a left-handed pitcher would also help. But, guy's got massive power, right? Consistently.
The most massive.
Yeah, I was going to say, if he's not the highest exit velo average in all of baseball, he's top 3.
Yeah. Fun fact that you may not know unless you're really digging into the stats and preparing data. O'Neill Cruz may appear that he hit 200, but he actually hit under 200. His actual percentage, if you go another decimal, is 0.1998. So he did not quite hit 200.
And I'm 5'10", 0.6432.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Roster Resource has him as a platoon bat right now.
I don't see it.
I don't know. I don't know how that. Yeah, I don't know how that sticks. But I mean, if that's a thing, then that's just a death knell to his.
There's not enough talent on Pittsburgh to platoon that type of profile. I mean, and at the end of the day, these teams want to sell tickets, and he is a draw for Pittsburgh.
Agreed. We'll see how much they want to sell tickets. If they want to sell tickets, then Connor Griffin starts the year on the squad. If they don't want to sell tickets, he's in AAA, right? But I think
Vlad knows my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and
you still fade in the God.
How many hits does he have this spring, Vlad?
The home run God. Well, of course, because this is what I make my judgment on is based on a spring sample of probably the greatest player of the last several years to come into the league. No, dude, Connor Griffin.
Is it Pittsburgh?
We're going to miss out.
Isn't Pittsburgh making their judgment off of this spring exactly? If he's ready,
I think we don't quite know what they're doing. I think
Yeah, that's
they're
true.
no. I'm saying yeah. Of course they don't, but no, I think they already kind of know what they're doing, and then we all don't. But I don't think like if he hits 100 the rest of the spring, which I don't think is going to happen, then maybe it's like time for seasoning and all that. But they keep saying that he has to like just blast away and super impress. But I think that might change some of the hype and everything that we've seen and. For the first couple of weeks, I don't see how he's not there on opening day.
Yeah, I have the opposite approach, but I think it's the Pirates, and they're going to do the Pirates thing like they did with Bubba Chandler last year, and they're going to slow play him, and they're going to hold on to service time, and they're going to do what the Pirates do. But this is the most active offseason they've had in my recent recollection, so maybe they are going to go for it and try to get a playoff spot, and try to win 80 games and try to sneak in there. So we'll see. If they give the kid a bunch of money before the season starts, then he's obviously going to be on the club. But you're on the clock,
unknown, right? Yeah,
you're on the clock. Were you looking at Adele right there? Did he get sniped from you?
I don't think Adele was a fit with the batting average and the power as much as I like him and think he should go before this. They're going to give me Zach Wheeler. I'm going to take him here.
There you go. That's an OC pick. If there ever was one in the 10th round, that's worth a gamble.
And now my whip
staff
makes a lot. It helps me out a lot. I really don't love Team One's pick there in Marte. I'm actually worried about Marte's playing time this year. Everybody's worried about Spencer Steer. I think Marte might be as big of a risk as Steer is.
You like these samples? How about 3 hits today for Noel V. Marte? Move him up your boards, 3 rounds.
Yeah, team 1 with the Buxton Marte outfield. That's a little dicey.
Yeah. Noel V. Marte, by the way. So I do not love him. I think if he can somehow figure out lefties, which he's never been able to do yet, then you've got yourself a player. But this is a guy that you're taking with an early-ish pick, and you might have to be streaming at some points. He had a 61 WRC plus against left-handers last year. Really cannot figure them out. It's something I think to keep an eye on, to monitor this spring with him. But yeah, what's that, like 120? Pick 120. It's a little early for me.
Speaking of early, I'm getting ready to reach because I need some speed.
Oh, like it. Yeah, a little early, but he's probably not.
He was not coming back to me. I can promise that.
It's a big thing when you're drafting towards the end. You kind of have to gamble on that second pick around the turn. If there's somebody that you really want, knowing that there's another 23 or so picks before it comes back to you, it's kind of got to take your guy. And he's going to be in that lineup all year. I think most projection models are under a little bit on the playing time, on the plate appearances. I think he's going to be north of 620, 630, and he's going to steal a lot of bases. He's going to go through some struggles. I know everything went like so smoothly for him last year as a rookie. There'll be some bumps in the road, and probably not going to hit for a high average, but 30 plus steals and 80 plus runs I think are pretty much a given.
I actually heard an interesting stat that when he got called up, he actually averaged the most plate appearances per week over, however many weeks that is that he finished the season on the roster over the entire major leagues, which is kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Here we go. Gary is team 8. He told us a second ago. Too many pitchers get hurt. I do not like spending early picks on him. That may work out for you. He's got, let me see here.
Yeah, it's a fair assessment, but he's getting pretty dicey with having 2 closers and 1 SP through 10 rounds. I'm all for the punt SP approach, but you still got to get 7 good arms out there every week, plus a couple guys on your bench, because you are going to lose some to injury. So I'm assuming he's just going to go really, really heavy in rounds 11 through 20, and that'll be interesting to see how that rounds out.
And team 4 got Blake Snell.
Yeah.
The auto pick. This team's going to be fantastic.
Team 4 on auto pick. I definitely will not get a league like this on Sunday. I'm sure it's going to be loaded to the gills.
Brandon might be team 4 on Sunday right next to you, Vlad.
Yeah, let's invite team 4 next time. Ceddanne Rafaela, let me ask you guys about him because cannot get into what everybody. There are a lot of people saying like a massive breakout is coming, and it was pretty good, but I mean, people talking 30-30. I know, but isn't he kind of stuck there in the bottom third of the lineup? He doesn't walk a lot. Like, what am I missing with Rafaela?
Don't get it at all. I think it was more of a DC pick, and then kind of picked up steam, and his ADP is kind of set now. His swing decisions have improved, his power has improved, but there is a limit to his upside where he's batting, because even if someone gets hurt, he's probably not moving up. So I think it's extreme early for me. But who knows? There's a lot of smart people on him.
Yeah, I'm not one of them. I don't get it either. He doesn't do a lot. I had him last year on a couple teams, and just you kind of look at the stats at the end of every week, and there's just not a needle mover there. For me, it's like Michael Harris. He's like a second baseman version of Michael Harris. End of the season, you see 2020, but it comes with a 250-ish average with, I don't know, 50, 60 runs scored and 70 RBIs, and taking that as a top 125, 130 pick. I don't get it. It's just not. It's not for me. You need guys who just produce across the board, or if they're not going to, give you something that's 5 category, they need to give you at least one good category. And I don't feel like 20 steals warrants all the other flaws that he gives you.
I'm going to say Team 10 is from the greater Chicago area. He took Michael Busch, Bregman, and Swanson, which is a nice little stack there. And by the way, Cody Bellinger used to play for the Cubs, and Kyle Tucker used to play for the Cubs, right? So
yeah, he's all in.
Guess. That is my guess. All right. What else do we have here? Any other builds?
Yeah, Team 9 with an early Luke Keeschel, kind of bagging on Rafaela. I feel like Keeshel's kind of in that same boat. Can he stay healthy? That's a big if for him. When he's on the field, yeah, he produces, but staying healthy is a skill, like we talked about. And I don't know. I feel like Keeschel has a lot to prove, and I don't know what he gives you. I think he gives you some speed. I don't think he gives you a lot in the power department. That Minnesota lineup's not going to be very good, so it might be hurting in the counting stats. So I feel like that's a little bit of a reach myself. I'd rather take give me Gleyber Torres 80 or 100 picks later.
Everybody loves the late round. We're all going to be fighting over late round Gleyber Torres. Not the first time I heard
it. Pick 250 Gleyber. Who can get there first? But that's just a guy I took in round 21 of my last one. I was like, yeah, I love this guy in round 21. This is fantastic. But he's not sexy. I mean, he's anything but a 12-team pick. He's just a steady Eddie.
Did we pressure teammate Gary to buy in some pitchers now? You got Tyler Glasnow, Cam Schlittler.
Just from build, he had to. You got to start taking pitching at some point, and those are some upside arms. I don't mind it at all.
Peer pressure is real, Vlad. But I like those two guys, as Vlad said, or as Wad said, was Glasnow and Schlittler with Joe Ryan. We got the good ratios, good strikeouts, so it's a good way to build it backwards.
Can you confirm or deny this from our friend Anthony? Does 10-team name start with an H?
It does not.
All right, it's not. It's not
the last name, at least, it does not.
No. All right, you got some veteran pitchers here. Sonny Gray in Boston says he hates the Yankees. And we'll see how that plays out. A lot of players end up leaving, right? The Bronx Bombers, and say that they're not huge fans of having played there. So Sonny Gray, got Brandon Woodruff, who I don't know where are you at with him, Jason? Because I don't know. I feel like he might fall a little bit because people are concerned about him on the IL and not pitching much over the last couple of years. He has been filthy throughout his entire career, and then even last year when he came up. Strikeout rate, low walk rate. Whenever Brandon Woodruff pitches, it's insane. Are you more likely to take him in a 12 or a different type of format?
I'm looking guys with skills and injuries. I'm probably not taking him at all in a 12 or a 15 with the price. he did really good for when he came up. The velocity decrease scares me, and then I haven't seen him throw yet this spring. So until we see that, and again, when we're in Vegas, we'll probably have some more information. So we'll go from there. And I'm on the clock. By the way, Dan got another great pick. I think Connor Griffin at that point was really good value with the team he has at Team 5. He's doing a great job this draft. It might not pay off, but I think that's the perfect time to take that shot.
I still think it's crazy, but I'm going to lose that argument every time to a Connor Griffin lover or a prospect guy. I mean, he's only going like half a round past Swanson and Adames, who have been doing it year after year after year. I just think it's insane. But again, I'm okay with that. I'm going to have no Connor Griffin. If he shoves it in my face, I'm just going to live with it. But I can't see it. Just not.
Well, I just made a live stream mistake. So that's what Brandon was talking about, drafting and live streaming. I have 2 UTs now through round 12. That's really good drafting.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's not a big deal. I do like Herrera, and I think he's going to catch eligibility, but that is definitely not ideal, especially if there's any setback there with him.
Yeah, I think he caught a game the other day. They're talking about potentially using him in the outfield or first base, DH, catcher. The one thing we know is that Ivan Herrera is playing. He is their best all-around hitter. He's going to be better than JJ Weatherholt this year, Burles, and anyone there. He is really the key cog in that machine. And man, I love Ivan Herrera. Just like the way he's grown from the minors, from being kind of a slap hitter, increasing his his power metrics is just like overall everything about Ivan Herrera. I really love. I'd love to see him get catcher eligibility.
Yeah, I mean, I just did this in my last draft too. And I know Jason's done it a few times, but yeah, if you can get Herrera and get him to get 10 games at catcher inside the first month, I mean, that's a steal at that draft cost. If he was catcher eligible, he'd be going inside the top 5 rounds or top 6 for sure. I mean, the guy's just a stud hitter, like you were saying, Vlad. Great contact guy, good hitter. He's going to bat second in that lineup. And they're going to give him all the at-bats they can. They're going to move him all around the diamond, like you said. I'm just hoping they start him at catcher. Get him some eligibility where you can get him out of that util spot, get some roster flexibility, and then just maximize those at-bats.
What are your guys' thoughts on the Kenley Jansen pick right there?
I think it's good. What is he, like 5 away from 300?
Yeah, he's pretty close.
So obviously they're going to give him as many opportunities to get to 300. And then after that, I think it's going to be performance-based. They have a good bullpen, right? They got Vest, they got Finnegan. They're going to be competing for the league, and they're trying to push for, a championship run. So if he's not performing, I think he'll get demoted or at least pulled out of that role temporarily. But as long as he's pitching, they're going to give him a leash. I mean, that guy, he's just a born closer, right? That's all he does. So,
yeah. Yeah, he's got 476, 2 behind Lee Smith, so he should be able to secure that pretty early. The crazy thing there is AJ Hinch. I feel like he's been seesawing. I feel like when they first signed Finnegan, and because Vest had such a good season, it was like they brought in Finnegan and like, oh, sorry, we rope-a-doped you. We thought you're going to get save ops. Now we've got Kenley, and so there was a little bit of lip service to the media about it, and then it was like, oh, wait, but Kenley's our guy. But then, but everyone's going to get off. So, and we were so sensitive to the news, and it affects the market. We'll move a guy up and down based on that. But then at a certain point, common sense for us has to kind of set in. It's like if Kenley's on it, he's probably going to get most of the opportunities. He was fantastic last year. Just when we thought we were down and out. And you nailed that, Jason. You loved Kenley Jansen last year. That worked out really well, and on the Angels of all places. So that was cool.
Yeah, I just don't see him having any value to Detroit if he's not closing. I mean, obviously he's not going to get every save. He's not going to pitch, a lot of back-to-back games, but he's a closer. I mean, and we all know how closers react in the 7th inning. Usually doesn't work out too well. So I would be shocked if they brought him in, much in a non-save situation. But I think they're definitely going to slow play him health-wise, and he's probably, how many last year he had how many games? He pitched 62 games. I would be hard pressed to think he gets in over 50 appearances this year with that bullpen.
That's fair. That makes sense. What do you guys think
Yeah,
about
I agree.
Doc-
They got a lot of
oh,
options
sorry.
in that bullpen. Sorry, Vlad. Yeah, they got a lot of options, and they're definitely going to slow play him a little bit. They want him to be around the whole season, and they don't need to force 60, 70 innings out of him. So they got plenty of guys who can pitch in that back end.
The one thing I was going to say, if you're punting, full on punting pitching in 12 teamers with the overall component, I think you're really in a pickle, because you're going to have to absolutely nail all those late round guys. Like, you guys remember the Blake Snell Cy Young season out of the blue? He was an 18th round pick that year, and the people that were winning the OC, the main event, they had Snell, but they also had the early Wheeler or Scherzer or whoever it was then, kind of balancing all that out. So you need the late round gems and something else, and the solid anchor. So if you're just like full on punting, you're in a tough position. And then also on top of that, you might be having difficult weekly decisions. If you have a bunch of middling starters, you can't decide who you're going to pitch for your SB4, 5, and 6, and you're dropping and streaming, you're going to be in a heap of trouble.
There's just something to having those anchor ratios. And I know Brandon does like to wait on pitching, but I think it's wait until round 5. If I'm not speaking incorrectly, you still need those guys that can anchor because of the whipsaws. In that aspect of waiting till round 8 to 10 on pitching, you can hit on a lot of those guys, but one bad start, like we were talking about George Kirby, kind of torpedoes you in any overall race. Absorbing that 12 ERA or 12 earned runs in a start, it makes you not sleep for a couple of days when you have to stomach that.
Yeah, I have a lot of starts like Team 6, not the names specifically, but, one pitcher through 7 rounds and then 5 of their next 6 picks or pitcher to kind of round out the squad. Really just hammer the offense, get your number 1 in DeGrom, and then back it up with, Pivetta, Strider, Eovaldi, Gavin Williams. And then he's got a closer in Fairbanks. So, not the best names across the board, but, guys with some proven track records who can do it. I'm an out and out Eovaldi lover. I've had that guy in so many teams. I cry every year that he gets hurt, and it's going to happen again this year, but sign me up to draft another, 20-30% of my portfolio with him in it, because the guy's just a stud when he's pitching. And, I'm ready to get hurt all over again. I have amnesia as to what happened last year. So,
but it was worth the pain. I mean, the guy,
for sure.
What a 172, whatever it was, ERA, like a 0.8 something whip. Like, he was just insane. Like that Rangers staff, they just added Mackenzie Gore, Jack Leiter in another year. It's a really, really good looking staff.
Yeah. And like I said, we were talking about it earlier, just that ballpark, it is great for pitching. It suppresses offense, it suppresses hitting. DeGrom had a 1.4 homer per 9 last year, and he still was an absolute stud in ERA and whip, giving up a career high homer rate. And that ballpark is a big reason for it. And it's across the board. Like Leiter, yeah, I think he's a good value right now. I haven't been a Mackenzie Gore guy just because of his whip issues, but if he's ever going to do it, this is the year. He's got as good of a situation as he can be in. The guy had 14 quality starts last year and 5 wins. It's like that's at least got to double to 10, and plus an opportunity for more, like a way better team that he's pitching for.
Yeah, massive strikeout upside. It would be shocking if you get 30 starts out. If you're getting 30 starts, 32 starts out of Mackenzie Gore, like, you're looking at upwards of 240 strikeouts, like up there among the league leaders. You got that ballpark there, and you get some lucky starts along the way. Shut down the A's in Sacramento here and there, and do well against the AL East teams. All of a sudden, you're looking at like a smash of a deal for where he's going right now. He moved up a little bit when he went to Texas.
You talked him into existence to Dan.
Yeah, it definitely talked it into existence.
It's okay, guys. I didn't want him.
Yeah, you did. Don't lie.
Well, that was like the one thing we had a little bit of like a little combo here, and Brandon's like, I know the drill, like like don't talk about players before they're drafted, this and that, and here I go, I'm like, oh, talking about my bad.
I still love you guys.
We're just ruining the integrity of this league.
I think Team 4 already did that.
Dan's like, yeah, I'm surprised he wasn't texting you, Vlad, to shut up and stop talking about his guy.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
You wanted me to stop talking about him. So you weren't getting him anyways, Jason.
I'm going to take a guy I think is going to have a big jump this year. Got traded to the Cubs. Great second half. I really think that we're due for a huge breakout in Edward Cabrera.
I'm rooting for it. I just took him in one of my last drafts as I think my SP4, speaking of waiting on pitching. And yeah, I'm all for it. Cade Horton going ahead of him is interesting.
Yeah.
The Cade Horton hype train is obviously starting to gain some steam, showing a velo bump in spring, getting some positive buzz on a couple other videos I've watched on pitching breakdowns. So interesting to see where he ends up come main event time as well. We all know pitching gets pushed up naturally to begin with in that contest, and then you get some guys that are showing out with that added velo bump, maybe adding some new pitches, a different pitch mix, and all of a sudden they're moving up 2-3 rounds.
It does feel gross with Luis Castillo still on the board, but I think in a 12 he doesn't do it for me, and I know he's still there, so I'm not sorry. I'm talking about him. Please just pay it back. Yeah, I don't hate Castillo at all. It just feels like a non-12 team pick. Am I off there?
I think it's a floor play. Like you kind of know what you're getting from him. You're probably getting 10 to 12 wins. Around a 4 ERA. And probably like a 1.18 WHIP.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a floor play. I think it's okay in certain builds or at a certain price, but it's certainly not somebody that you're, queuing up and taking early. If he falls to you, you take him. If he doesn't, you let somebody else have him. You're not missing anything.
I misheard you at first, and I was like, what's a foreplay pick? This is a new term. I have not heard that before. A floor play. I got it. Okay.
Same.
Yeah, a floor play. Yeah.
Guys, this is the NFBC 12-team online championship live stream, the Beat Jason Anthony League. The 11 other contestants here are trying to beat Jason Anthony to win this league, or a $1,400 prize, to shoot for the $150,000 grand prize, and for a ring from our friends from Trophy Smack, an awesome decorated championship ring that you could wear wherever you want. And so we're here drafting. I'm with Brandon Corkwood with Jason Anthony drafting. I'm Vlad Sedler, rolling here on the FTN network, the FTN Fantasy, FTNFantasy.com. That's where we're at. Come get it at us. MLB 26 is the code for 10% off. We're going to take you here through whether it be either to the half hour point or around 20, whatever gets here first. So it's a full hour and a half. We usually do not take these all the way to the end, but Jason will then be able to finish his end game quietly without being on the clock. But
maybe I'll draft another UT.
Never know. One more.
The Robert Suarez pick was a wee bit early for me.
Yeah, that's an early one. Yeah, Chandler Simpson's early too. I don't know. I don't quite understand Team 6 taking Terang and Chandler Simpson and Perdomo and James Wood. Like I feel like he had enough steals where he didn't have to force it. But
and then Team 9 with your boy Vlad, Matt McClain, having a huge spring.
Matt McClain, yep. You know what I learned when I was working on something is I knew Garrett Mitchell was also a UCLA guy, but they were both first-round picks, and they're a year apart, and both with the shoulder injuries. And I think they obviously overlapped. But you guys know that Garrett Mitchell, he's been in the league since 2022, and he's got less than 450 career plate appearances. It's insane.
He just hit a 470-foot jack.
Yeah, he hit a bomb. Yeah, I saw that highlight. He absolutely nuked one. I mean, I love the guy. I just wish I draft him every year. I think I took him on a team already this year. I would love to him stay healthy and see what he can do. I mean, like you said, just amazing prospect pedigree, and, all the talent in the world. Just, I mean, can't even make it out of spring training most years. So we'll see what happens.
Tell me if I'm wrong here. Carlos Rodon kind of feels like a good deal, like for where he's going, and in an OC, he is a great stab for around here, because if you're getting 26 plus starts from Carlos Rodon, usually they're pretty good. And we've been down this road before with him where he's not quite ready for the season, and it's worked out one time incredibly, and one time it failed miserably. But Carlos Rodon has been a top 10 pitcher, ratios wise, everything wise in the league over the last 4 years or so, 5 years. I don't know. How do you guys handle the Rodon versus Wheeler versus Cole? Obviously, if you're drafting, you can really only take a stab on one of those guys.
Well, my recent slow OC, I took Rodon probably right around here, and then Cole fell to around 20, and so I wasn't planning on it, but I took them both. And the news on Rodon seems like he's going to be back end of April, middle of April, so I think it's pretty underpriced. It is adding a huge risk factor, but again, going to the 12 team, I think it makes a lot of sense. Speaking of risk, Shane McClanahan just went huge payoff there too. I like that pick a lot for Team 10 there.
Yeah, I'm usually not one to take a lot of risk, especially early in the draft season, because you don't have a lot of news. I think as you get closer to the season starting, you can take more of a gamble on these guys when you have a little firmer timeline as to when they're going to be returning. So for me, I'm just not taking any of the Wheeler, Woodruff, Rodon, Cole group as of now, but I still have, a handful of drafts left that are going to be closer to the start of the season. And, you reevaluate every day. News comes out, and, yesterday's price isn't today's price, right? Stuff changes, especially with so many drafts going on. The WBC will give us a lot of clarity on guys. Some guys will get hurt during the WBC. So it's real fluid come March. The drafts are just constantly changing. Guys are getting moved up and down based on performance and based on availability. So I'm willing to reevaluate right now. I have been out. I have zero of any of those guys.
Kazuma Okamoto moving up over Murakami of the White Sox feels like a little bit more of a stable profile. Off to a nice start in spring. I think Roster Resource has him 7th. I think managers talked about having him fit 4th or 5th. Could potentially move up now with Anthony Santander not in the mix. For you guys, are you considering either of them? And does it depend for you on if you really need the big power and can afford a batting average potential drag in Murakami? Like if you're deciding between third base between the two, and also considering these guys are probably going to add other positions of eligibility.
Yeah, I'm Team Okamoto over Murakami, and I don't think I'll be drafting Murakami. I just so hard to take a guy that has a potential to strike out 35 to 40% of the time. Doesn't matter. I don't think he can get enough at bats to hit 35, 40 homers with that strikeout profile. Okamoto has a bunch of power, good bat to ball skills, hit for a high average almost every season. Also hit for, I think, 25 to 30 homers every season, except for his injury shortened one. So yeah, I like his pedigree better than Murakami's. I like the team context better too, as far as counting stats go. So you can put me on Team Okamoto, and I won't be drafting Murakami at all.
Yeah, anybody that can't hit a 92-mile-an-hour fastball in Japan, I think he's going to struggle a little bit with velocity in the majors, so I will have zero of him. Guys, I think this is my first share in 4 years, but I don't think I can pass on Stephen Kwan, 30 picks past ADP here with my roster build. I think this fits absolutely perfect.
Yeah, that's good value right there. I mean, you get your batting average up from the guys that you took in the earlier rounds, with Langeliers, Suarez, Schwarber, you got Judge 300 perennial or better. Throwing Wilson Contreras, probably a 260, 265. Ivan Herrera with a 275, 280 possibility. And Quan is just to write it in 280 to 300, Jay. I think that's a good combo.
I think that was a gift. I'm pretty excited about that.
A gift from the Roto Gods. Because we're covering the board here. Did Team One pick anyone after you?
He took Alec Burleson.
Okay.
Who I was also looking at for the batting average, but no speed there. So he fell a lot too.
Yeah, and he has torque as well, right? 2 rounds earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I like that torque pick, and just that's good late power right there. And then Jason got his guy. He might have 90% Willie Abreu. It might actually be 100.
I might be over.
I mean, we've talked about him a lot this offseason, and I've been taking him a decent amount. Jason has been taking him every possible pick. And then Sir Anthony Dominguez at pick 200 or right around there. I think that's good value right there too.
Oh, look at Team 4 auto picking the Milwaukee bullpen. That's kind of sharp.
Interesting. That isn't. Yeah, just corner the market there. You at least have a closer. Hey, one gets traded, your closer rich.
Yeah, and along with Hader and Iglesias, I mean, he's really low.
Oh, he's got 4. Yeah. Oh my goodness, he's got 5
on the relievers.
Oh man,
oh, 5. I missed Duran. Yeah, well, I mean, the auto pick gods are just taking the wheel for him. So
unkind.
And these are non-trade leagues for those new to NFBC, so no trading whatsoever. Just no no chance for any sort of collusion. That's just the way it's always been over there at the NFBC. So no trades and a plethora of riches. It'll be funny if like did he sign up and then forget, or did he think it was a different day? But it'll be interesting when he wakes up in the morning and says, "Oh wait, I got a whole team here, and a third of them are closers."
So through 6, 9, 10 hitters, I have projected 262 homers.
That's with Quan and Marcy. That's slightly above average.
And that's obviously projections are 50th percentile. If I was using the VDP, I might be at 350, Vlad.
You might be at 380. If you count Quan's 34. No, it's a good looking team, man. And we didn't even talk about Wilson Contreras. Like, imagine that guy stays healthy, and you've got yourself a little. Those are the only 2 Boston guys, but Contreras with Abreu together, they'll probably hit next to one another in the lineup. That's a nice little combo.
Yeah, and then I like Duran a lot too. So I do like the Boston lineup, and I think we've talked about this on air too.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get 550 at bats plus out of both of those guys, that is massive value at those prices. Because when they play, they mash. I mean, Contreras constantly makes hard contact. He just had trouble staying on the field as a catcher. Move him over to first. Hopefully, that keeps him a little healthier. And then with Abreu, they just got to figure out who they're going to bench because their whole outfield's left-handed, and they got too many guys. But I really don't see them sitting Duran against lefties. The guy just makes so much contact. I think that's kind of insane that they're even talking about it, but teams do weird stuff. I mean, I don't get it, but I'm sitting here staring at a computer screen. I'm not running a front office, so we'll see.
You could be.
You're actually on a computer screen, Wad, so you're moving up in life.
I mean, I run my teams virtually. That's as close as I'm going to get, but I'll take it.
Much better than half of the GMs in the major leagues, in my opinion.
I think most people who play fantasy seriously could be better than half of the GMs in major leagues. I don't think that's a stretch to say either.
By the way, I want to bring up a player here, Joe Musgrove. This seems like a massive helium guy. This is a guy that has been excellent when healthy. You're talking about somebody with low 3 ERA, whips usually all right, and strikeouts are there. He doesn't have a hard innings cap, and obviously he missed last season with Tommy John. He was already throwing bullpen sessions last August. And then the big news today is, as we record on this Thursday, is he had a really nice exhibition outing. Pitched a few innings, looked really good. He was sitting 94, 95. And yeah, Joe Musgrove, especially in that ballpark, seems to me like somebody that could be moving up. But any chance it's a trap, or would you guys follow the helium with Musgrove?
I'm in on him. I don't mind it. I think it's a really good 12-team pick. Again, it's one of those 12s versus 15s. You know, if he ends up not being who you thought he was, and you know, doesn't have the velocity sustained through the first month or two of the season and wears down, he just becomes a cut, and you add the next guy who's available. A lot harder to do that in a 15-teamer. I'd probably take Shane Baz over Musgrove, just looking at, you know, the name that went right now. You know, kind of a little buzzier guy, threw 160 innings last year, going to a better team. You know, I'd probably take my chances there as opposed to going for a guy who hasn't pitched in a year and a half. But I've been a big Musgrove guy for a long time, and when he pitches, he's been really good. It's just, you know, he's been hurt. So I get the play, and I like it, and it's a good upside play in 12s. I just don't think you need to do it this early. I think it's okay, and you know, the 230, 240 range as opposed to the early 200s.
He probably wasn't making it back to 231.
Yeah, probably not. And every room's different, but again, and I'm not even on Shane Baz, but just I'll take him over Musgrove for sure. I like Flaherty. I'm a sucker for Flaherty every year. He's kind of like Eovaldi for me. I like the strikeout upside. You know, pitching in Detroit's good. If he can find something in between last year and 2024, you know, it's great value in round, you know, 17, 18.
Vlad, we were talking about roster builds, and it was a unique room that everyone was kind of similar. Through 17 rounds, every team had exactly 7 pitchers.
Wow.
I don't know if I've ever seen that. And I'm using Team 12's 18th round pick. I just flopped him and Edwards to do that. But that is pretty interesting when you look at the roster grid, that every team had 7 pitchers. Now, one team has 5 closers, so that's a little unique. But that's kind of throwing the closer market off. So it'll be interesting how that affects the league as well.
Team 1 there, I noticed, feels like the ratios are going to be pretty solid. They waited. They got Christopher Sanchez with Mason Miller, Freddie Peralta, Lodolo, Rasmussen, Santana, Horton. That looks like a pretty strong ERA whip team. Just something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a little light in Ks, but you know, they have a great foundation with Sanchez and Miller. But I don't know. That could be tough. Lodolo, Rasmussen, and Cade Horton, you know, not the highest K per 9 guys. But like you said, ratios are going to be fantastic. A lot of good hit suppression there. You know, good teams, good win potential. Yeah, well, I was making fun of Team 3, who's a good friend of Jason and mine, and saying he needed to work on outfield, and then he proceeded to take 5 outfielders in his next 6 picks and just squash that conversation quickly.
Caught up.
He caught up quickly, and I like it. I like the value. I like the Teoscar value, and I think that's some falling Stowers value too on the hamstring news. You know, if he's only out a week or two, you know, he still gets a couple of weeks of spring training, and I'm always a sucker for old reliable Ian Happ, so I'm not going to hear any bad words about him out of me.
He's got a very buzzy pitching staff. Reagans with Yuri Perez, Chase Burns, Bubba Chandler, and Chris Bubich. That's it's about as buzzy as it gets. All it's missing is the Miz and Schlittler.
Yeah, without a doubt. A lot of high octane, a lot of high upside, but also a lot of potential downside. So, yeah, it's a boom and bust pick, you know, and that works in these drafts. And then that's a good Bryson Stott value right there too. You know,
Speaking of value, Dylan Cruz, who again I haven't taken much of, is ADP 168. We're at pick 215.
What?
Am I missing anything on news that did he pass away?
It's like your Brian Reynolds comment from last year. Did he die? Did I miss this?
Thank you, guys.
What's going on? That's insane.
Yeah.
And he's not like he's an old, boring player. I mean, there's a lot of upside with him. So I'm shocked to see him sitting there.
Yeah,
the only thing that's happened since in the last couple of days is his thumb is actually okay, and he hit sixth in the lineup, so he's fine. He plays for the Nationals.
Yeah, but I mean, they're, as long as he stops getting caught stealing, they're going to let him run. And, he's talking about a guy with, a lot of buzz coming up, prospect pedigree, high draft pick, and, disappointed when he first came up, but he's got some experience now, and he could really pop this year. And, the Nats are just going to let all their young guys play as well they should. So
what's the statement? Last year's bums.
Gene McCaffrey.
And you see that play out year after year. And you look at it even from, some of the big time players. What was it? Jose Ramirez, right? He was going at the end of the first round, and then the following year he was, a top 3 pick. And you guys just they bounce back.
Andrew Abbott and Jordan Beck on the turn. Jason comes back with an Otto Lopez. Little 15-15 action.
Yeah, the bus driver. Like it.
We're gonna have I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I like the Jordan Beck pick too. I think he's getting slept on in Colorado. I just think he's solid across the board. And that's a great ballpark to hit in, despite how terrible the team is. So I like that pick. He's a guy I'm on for sure.
Yeah, he had a really, really nice kind of consistent year. I know the year numbers were solid. And listen, 2020 in Colorado is not that, half your game's there. It's not hard to do, especially a guy with his profile. He's got a little bit of pop, a little bit of speed. So I think it's fine. It's funny that we're in a world where the Colorado players are the boring picks, or like it's some, alternate 1985 here.
It is crazy how the narrative on that ballpark in general has flipped into just a major BABIP park, which it's always been, but it's not really considered a big power park anymore. It's just all for batting average. Maybe it's the team the Rockies have put together, but it's definitely when you think of going to Colorado, you're not thinking of giving up 8 home runs. You're thinking of giving up 8 blue hits.
Yeah, they just don't have the guys who hit the homers anymore. Like it is still a home run park. Not to the extent that it is a BABIP park, but they also, they don't have any 40 home. I mean, when your catcher is your leading home run hitter, your lineup has some issues.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Walker's not walking through that door anytime soon, huh?
Yeah, I mean, those teams were incredible. Some of the stats, if you guys look back at some of the stats those guys put up during the heyday Colorado days before the humidor, 150 RBIs, 47 home runs, just some of the craziest stat lines, and they weren't even sniffing the MVP conversation. It was just comedy.
We are rounding the bend here. We're getting ready to wrap up this program, take you through somewhere here around the 20 rounds. But man, Brandon, how do you feel about being back on the live stream streets? We had you on last year, man. You're like the super all-star guest commentator of having you.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to do it like this as opposed to last year when you had me on. I was trying to draft and talk at the same time. A little harder to concentrate. Jason can attest to that as well. Can you, Vlad? But yeah, it's fun. I really, really enjoy the NFBC platform. I love drafting. Who doesn't? It's a ton of fun. And, it's fun to look at different teams and different builds and get to talk about it. Like I said, I've got my opinions and my biases, and, it's always nice to see those get pushed back on and tested in different rooms by a lot of smart people. So I love it, man. It's fun. I love draft season. I love baseball, and, appreciate you and FTN having me on. You guys are great.
It's like a family business. So many of us have known the founder, Gregor Ambrosius, for so many years. Tom Kesenick and Jeff Steiner, great. Just a fantastic organization. The the main event in Vegas that we're going to in a couple of weeks is just it's the weekend you can't wait for. So if you've never been, you love fantasy baseball, got to get in there. But dip your toes into these OCs. They're really a lot of fun, and Jason's good at them. Here he is with his 2 team. Tell us your synopsis, how you feel about this team in comparison to before you walked into this thing, thinking about how it might end up.
I'm pretty happy. It's probably one of the best offenses I've built. Like I was talking about how many home runs. So I have 2 more hitter spots because I have Herrera pinned in at catcher. I have already 160 steals and 291 homers. So in a really good spot. I'm going to definitely hit on some late pitching in order to compete, especially with the Wheeler injury. But I have the base, I got the saves, batting average. I'm pretty confident I recovered in. So really, really happy with the kind of the values I've gotten in this draft. Taking the value in the Stephen Kwan, the Dylan Cruz, the Wilson Contreras fell, and then, making some needed picks when I needed to. So I'm really happy about this. On a side note, we will be kidnapping Brandon next year and taking him to Vegas.
Yes.
The company he works for might have to close down for that weekend because his boss takes a vacation every weekend, the same exact weekend in Vegas for the NFBC, but he has not been yet, and we need to get him into a live auction. And I just can't tell him enough how much he's missing out. We're missing him being there.
Yeah, it's on the list. It's been a goal. I had it all planned out 2 years ago, and then he sprung the trip on me, and then he gave me early notice again this year that I was once again SOL and had to stick around and run the business while he was gone. But he goes out for his wife's birthday, and I feel like they can just push it for a week and let me go have some fun. So we'll see if I win the battle next year.
That birthday tends to float when it is each year.
So we'll see. Yeah, man, I'd love to be out there in Vegas with you guys. And, I talked to Casey Bubba about it quite a bit. I was actually on his Bench with Bubba podcast doing a shortstop preview 2 nights ago. And, we were talking about it off air, just talking about Vegas. And you talked about hanging out with Jason, and just having a great time and just how much fun it is, especially your first year out there. And I, have so many of these guys that I've played with. I've been playing since 2019, so this is going to be my 7th year in the NFBC, and gotten to know a lot of the guys, on X and, through draft boards, and, even doing some DMs and doing some stuff like this. Like, you just get to know people, and it's always fun to put the faces to the names and see them in person. Yeah. Team 4 really, really rounding into form with the Profar pick.
What a way to end this thing.
Just
nailing the coffin. It's just fantastic.
We might need to talk to Greg about the auto draft for the integrity of leagues. Again, I have another follower here in Aaron Nola that I will take the value on. So I think just continue to do that. Before we jump off, Vlad and Brandon, why don't you guys give me your thoughts on this team and kind of pick me apart, make me cry a little bit so I can go to bed unhappy.
I like it.
I can't really.
Yeah.
I like the squad.
I don't have a lot of bad things to say about it. I feel like, the Palencia RP1 pick is really good. You might have a little bit of a weakness with Jansen, but you got 10 more rounds to spec on the third closer to shore that up a little bit in case he does lose the job. Kirby, Lazardo, Webb, you're looking at what should be 180 to 200 innings from each of those guys, so that's a great foundation. Wheeler's a just pure upside pick, and, the guy should be an SP1 if he gets back on the mound. Edward Cabrera, looked great in the second half last year. Aaron Nola, if he gets back, to being Aaron Nola, it's a great value. Logan Henderson, I know you just took him right now in round 21. Good spec, right? He was great when he was pitching last year. None of us could believe he got sent down and never came back up. Like, What the heck? How are you keeping a guy this good down in the minors? So another year, another chance for him to get out there and prove that he belongs. And, man, you just got great great coverage in all your counting categories. I think you pieced it together really well, starting hitter heavy. Had some batting average issues that you were able to address with the Quan pick. And I think it's going to be great, man. It's like you got 9 more rounds to go and 6 months of management and fab, but a huge part of having a successful team comes out of the draft. So I think you did a great job, buddy.
Thank you, Brandon. Vlad, co-host, be nice.
No, I mean, I really can't rip it apart. I think you've got one temporary stash with Ivan Herrera on the bench, and you're going to rotate catchers for a bit, and then hope that he gets that eligibility, because that is a stranglehold to your bench there for a bit, because until he gets that catcher eligibility, you can't play him a utility. He's just kind of stuck. And and then Wheeler is another bench. So you're working with a 5-man bench. I think that's something to keep in mind as you draft. Can't really afford another stash. And no, I mean, dude, overall it's really solid. I like it a lot.
Appreciate you guys.
Speaking of birthdays, you're talking about your boss's birthday, Brandon, earlier. On my birthday, I'm going to be spending it live streaming for 3+ hours with fellow host Toby G, Batflip
Nice.
Crazy. We are going to be here at the FTN network. We're going to be running the 15th annual MTM Ultimate Draft, and that is it's a 5K entry. It's live in Mike Masato world in New Jersey, and that's going to be a lot of fun. That's March 14th, about 4:45 Eastern. So make sure to check that out. And then Sunday, I'm drafting, so let's fill that league. I'm also reminded that I probably need to get either some producer help or someone on staff to help click around some of the stuff so that I can focus a little bit on drafting. So I'm not just talking, drafting, and managing, but we'll work it out. We'll figure it out for Sunday, and then more streams to come.
So your birthday is my anniversary. So I'm going to have to catch that live stream on a replay. Otherwise, I may not make it another year. So, actually, wife and I are going up to Tahoe for the weekend to get away for a little bit. So before my boss leaves me all alone for 8 days, I told him I'm sneaking away to get a little mini vacation for my anniversary. So happy early birthday to you. That sounds like a ton of fun. I love Toby. I mean, the guy's just super insightful, really, really good player. And, he's just a great guy to listen to talking baseball. So that'll be fun. I can't wait to watch that one.
It'll be fun. I'll try to maybe get some deep pitching thoughts out of him. Definitely a pitching whiz, great strategist. But speaking of great strategists, Jason Anthony, you've constructed a monster squad here. Team 2 with your build. Again, it's really quick at the top. Judge, Lindor, Schwarber, Langoliers, going with Kirby, Luzardo, Webb, and you got some Zach Wheeler, Marcy for speed. It's just, and now you're just picking off value. So it's a really, really good team. Great job. Final thoughts, and we'll wrap.
No, final thoughts is I get to see you in Vegas in 2 weeks. Hell yeah!
Let's go. Red the blue.
Hell yeah! Let's the blue will be flowing. The inside joke: get a bottle of the Johnny Walker Blue. The first year we did it, Vlad would only come over and take a sip, and then he'd disappear and be the mayor and go, shake babies and kiss hands. So the joke was, if Vlad's around, there's blue. So it's like a fly to the light. We'll call it.
And then I redeemed myself by bringing a bottle the next year, or one of those years.
Completely redeemed yourself.
Everybody, thank you for joining FTN Fantasy NFBC Draft here. Thanks a lot for NFBC for this opportunity. For Jason Anthony and Brandon Corkwood, I'm Vlad Sedler. This is the FTN live stream Beat Jason Anthony Draft, and we'll see you on Sunday.